Hi everyone, just rolling over midday now, so let's get started. Welcome to the inaugural ProdCast. My name's Hayden McCall. I'm General Manager at iStart, and I'll moderate today's session, which is going to be a demo of Greentree's 3D Live solution. Now I'm told by Cameron, our presenter today, that this solution is a little bit like providing users with fighter pilot visibility. Sounds like pretty exciting stuff, so I'm eager to see if it lives up to that promise. Contrary to, I gather, some of what you've seen from your end, we're not a 60-minute session today. Cameron will be running the demo for around about 20 minutes and then about 10 minutes for Q&A at the end. So by all means, keep the questions coming in. We may cover them as we go, or we'll certainly have time at the end to cover them off. So just as people are filing in the door, we'll quickly do a little bit of housekeeping. There won't be any need for note-taking. You'll all get a recording sent through to you, so if you do need to dash off, don't worry too much. You'll get a recording so you can watch later. We are keen to have lots of interaction, lots of questions. You can use the question pane. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. And we'll try to get you to all of your questions, but if we don't panic. We'll get in touch afterwards. If you don't hear from us and you have got a question, then please just get in touch. So raising a question is in the pane on the right-hand side. You've got a little red arrow that you can click on to open that up or close it down. And you see within there's a questions pane. If you click the plus to open it up, you can enter in your questions. And just to get everyone started with using that, if you can just right at the moment raise a question or answer the question. There's one thing that you'd like to see better in your IT systems, and something that your IT systems can do better. Then just bang it in, and we'll have a look at that coming up on the questions pane. And don't be afraid to add some humour into that. Okay, so let's introduce now Cameron Hallmark. Cameron is Chief Product Officer for Greentree. He's based and is sitting at the moment in the Greentree office in Melbourne. I'm sitting in the iStart office in Auckland. Cameron's been knocking around the halls, no pun intended, of Greentree for a few years. He knows the product inside out and is a very capable demonstrator, as I'm sure we're about to find out. G'day, Cameron.
G'day, Hayden. Hello, everybody.
So without further ado, let's hand over to you, Cameron. How's the weather in Melbourne today?
It's lovely and sunny. It's going to be a top temperature of about 18 degrees, but we had a very cold and foggy morning. Coming good.
Cold and foggy. It sounds almost as good as Auckland. Okay, good to see some questions coming in, folks. Keep those rattling, and anything that you think of as we go, feel free to get them in there, and we will address them as we go. But let's hand over to you, Cameron. All yours.
Okay. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending where you are on the planet. Today we're going to look at Greentree's workflow solution, including active desktops. We're going to look at the new kid on the block, and that's 3D Live. Now, 3D Live is currently in beta release. We've had customers using it for around 6 weeks or so, and it goes into general release next week. So I know there's some Greentree customers watching today, so hopefully you'll get excited by what you're about to see and something that you'll be able to take on from next week. Just for those people out there who are Greentree customers, if you already own the workflow module, you just get 3D Live. You don't need to purchase it. It's just getting added to the workflow for you. We're also going to have a quick look at approvals and alerts today in the system as well. So who are we? Greentree is a company that develops business software. That's what we do. We've been doing that for 28 years. We first developed a DOS-based product in the 80s, and we developed the current product and released it in 1999. And that product's been going through lots of improvements and enhancements over the years, and today we're going to look at some of the newer things that we've done. We are a privately owned company. We deal through our partners, so our partners actually support our customers and implement systems and train them and all those sorts of things. There's currently over 20,000 companies using Greentree today. So many people waking up in the morning, jumping into Greentree and running their business through our system. Just a quick example of who some of our customers are. So I've just got a couple of slides here, just going through a couple, just different industries really. So Aluka Bond, for example, use our distribution module quite heavily and are very heavy users of our workflow module and approvals and alerts. Hydrostera in project costing, up the top there, Xenocare, community-based support, sort of non-for-profit type industry. Lecky's Electrical, very big into wholesale and distribution. Moving forward, Toyota Technical Centre, for example, very heavy users of our project costing module, HR and payroll, but also one of the main things for them when they bought Greentree was the approvals and alerts in workflow. And without that, Greentree wouldn't even be in the game. But for them, that was the real strength of Greentree compared to other systems that they looked at. Starman Farms. In fact, one of the real stories of today, the Starman Farms are actually using Greentree 3D Live and have been for a few weeks. And I'll touch on their story a little bit later on through the presentation. Pacific Marine Batteries, also another user of Greentree and project management. So these are some of the industries that Greentree we find ourselves in. We're quite a broad and deep product, so we find ourselves quite strong in wholesale and distribution, professional services, manufacturing, you know, all through the different service and product project costing areas. Finance and insurance, IT, health, a whole heap of different areas. This is all the suites that we have in Greentree, and I'm not going to labour on this too long. Please go and have a look at our website. You'll see lots of information about each of the Greentree suites and what they do. You'll see a lot of customer stories, so people are out there actually using our software and running their business in all different industries. So the core of our product is our financial management, where of course you have things like general ledger, accounts payable, receivable, fixed assets, all that sort of thing. We do human resources and payroll. We do supply chain and distribution, project costing, manufacturing, so bills and materials, MRP, those sorts of things, quality control, including contracts, access to reporting, of course, so lots of different types of reporting options for our users, including web-based reporting, Excel reporting, and reporting within Greentree itself. Workflow, which is what we're touching on today, so today we'll be looking at this module in some detail. Business intelligence tools, so Greentree IQ, which is powered by ClickView. Web-based solutions, so web shops, e-timesheets, e-approvals, e-HR for self-service for employees. Mobility solutions as well, so if you want someone using a mobile device to do stock take, to move stock around the warehouse, field service for doing jobs, that sort of thing, taking customer signatures, we have those solutions as well. All right, what I'm going to do now is jump straight into today's presentation and take you into Greentree. What you're looking at now is a typical Greentree screen when a user's logged in. In this left-hand corner we have what we call our Greentree Navigator. This is basically how the user gets around the system. So for example, if they wanted to enter a new customer, they'd come to the customer maintenance screen like that through the menu system, or they could search. So there's a particular thing they were searching for, they could actually just type in a name and search, and they'd find all the menu options related to the particular thing they're searching for. Most of our users, though, will use the favourites and the bookmarks. So rather than going through the menu system, they will create favourites of things that they do all the time, or create bookmarks of the things that they access all the time. We also have a most recently used panel as well. So things that they've been dealing with throughout the day, they can easily, quickly get back to if that's what they want to do. We're going to jump straight into workflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up what we call an active desktop. So rather than having a blank background when a user logs into Greentree, our clients who have workflow will have a desktop showing them information, and this sits in the background. So as a user is actually interacting with Greentree, for example, if they were in one of our data entry screens like customer maintenance, like there, you can see that this desktop actually sits in the background all the time for them. This particular user is having a look at their top inventory items on a graph, their top customers, for example. They're looking at financial totals, how much our customers owe us, what do we owe our suppliers, what orders are in our books, what stock do we have on the floor, estimated inwards and outwards cash out, in and out the door, sales for the month compared to budget. So information coming directly out of the database. That's quite a static desktop. Let's have a look at something a little more interesting, rather than maybe what I would call a bean counter desktop. This next desktop is a sales order flow. So imagine you're a distribution company and you need to make sure that all the customer orders go out on time, and you need to keep on top of what's happening in the system. This particular desktop is showing us a live list of customer back orders. So I don't need to go and run a report or go searching for them or anything like that. It is something that I care about in my role, so my desktop's been configured to show me that information, and that's live as it stands right now. Over here I can see orders that are waiting to be picked. So these are orders that have been put into the system, that are committed stock, and they can be picked. So we're just waiting for somebody in the warehouse to actually start picking them, either printing off a picking slip and doing it manually, or using our mobility solution, which will update it live on the desktop. Here we have orders where the picking is in progress, so it's moved from one stage to the next. And then finally, orders that have gone out the door, and they can be invoiced. Now this desktop is completely live and interactive. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to switch over to my other screen. I'm logged in as another user there, and I'm just going to enter an order. And as I finish that order off, you'll see on my desktop that a new line appeared, 500047. And it's an order that's gone on to back order. So immediately I'm aware that there's another back order in the system that I need to know about. So it's not, again, waiting for me to run a report or anything like that. It's something I needed to know, so it's on my screen straight away. Now these are interactive, these desktops. So as a user, for example, if I decided I wanted to pick this particular order, I could click into it from the desktop, print off the picking slip, and you'll see already on my desktop that it's disappeared from the orders waiting to be picked window and is now in the picking in progress. And that is the same for any other user that is seeing a desktop like this. They're seeing live information. So that's an example of possibly how it might get used in a distribution company. If we move into a different area now, we look at maybe someone in service. So we're a company that provides services to our customers, and that could be fixing their equipment, maintaining their equipment, logging calls, basically satisfying our customers' servicing requirements. Now as the service manager, for me it's really important to know what resources I have, what jobs they're allocated to, and when they are busy and when they are not busy. So this is what we're seeing at the bottom of the screen here. This particular service supervisor is seeing a list of resources that he has. So Beth, Cameron, Chelsea, and so forth. He's actually got a planner on his screen showing him what jobs they're allocated to and when they're allocated to. They're color-coded as well, so he can see different sorts of work that they're doing. And in fact, not only do we see service jobs on this particular desktop, we're also seeing leave requests. So he can see when people are going to be absent, so he doesn't allocate them work on those absences. Now, as new calls are coming into our Greentree system, then they can come in through the web. So if your customers are logging in through e-service, they can be logging calls over the internet, and they will be coming up on a workflow desktop straight away for someone to deal with, or maybe be informing those people in another way, possibly through SMS or email or something like that. Obviously, they could be coming in over the phone, so your own staff could be logging those into the system. But as the service supervisor, I can see that I've got 4 service jobs here that I haven't actually allocated to anyone yet. So as the service supervisor, because I've got this planner on the screen, I can easily see, well, who's available and when they're available to allocate that work. And it's simply just a matter of, yep, that job there, I'm going to allocate that to be done by Craig on Monday the 6th. And that's removed itself here and put it on my service planner here. Now that's also updated Craig's desktop as well. Or if Craig was using our mobility solution, he would see it on his mobile device, telling him that he has that job to do on Monday. Now again, as the service supervisor, I may know that that is not a long enough time for him to complete that work, so I could extend the time frame just by clicking and dragging. Not only that, if I get a call from our own employees, or I get a call from a customer and I want to actually create the job here and now, I can do that as well. So for example, I could highlight a couple of days there and choose to create a new service job directly from the calendar. Or in fact, if Craig was to call and say he needed to take a couple of days off, I could click on there and say create the new leave request. And it knows about payroll. This is a fully integrated system, so it's taking it directly into HR. It knows how many hours he works a day. It understands what it means to Craig. So as I say that, it's now on the desktop, so I know that Craig's not available on those 2 days. So that's another use of the workflow desktop. If we now take this into the new world, now with 3D Live, what I'm going to show you is some 3D Live panels within the desktop. So the panels I've been showing you today are what we call regular workflow panels that show live information. With our 3D Live panels, they will change as you interact with the system. So to give you an example of that, here I've got what we saw before in relation to distribution. So I've got our current list of back orders, I've got our orders waiting to be picked, and this time that happens to be collapsed. So I can expand that out if I want to, so I can see what all the orders are, or I might just be happy to see that there's 11 waiting to be picked. I can pop that out if I want to, and I can actually drag it onto a second monitor. So I'm not limited to just the one screen anymore with Greentree Workflow. If I've got multiple monitors, I can have workflow desks on both screens, or even panels separately on both screens, and I'll update live. Now you'll notice here that these particular orders are actually highlighted in different colours. Now to the user who uses the Greentree all the time, they will understand what their colours mean. But if you're not sure, you can click on the legend and you can see what they mean. So I can see that we've got some priority 1 orders in there and some priority 2 orders in our system at the moment. So the same windows we had before. Now let's say I'm a user and I'm taking a customer order. So I go into order entry, and this is where 3D Live will kick in. As I select the customer on my order, who's on the phone, you can see that I've got panels updating live for me. In fact, I've got their logo has popped up on the screen. I can see the most recent things that customer has bought, and in fact I can see they've actually got some open quotes as well. I move through the order, and the customer says I want to buy one of those LCD monitors. So I put that into the order, and as soon as I do that, my 3D Live panels update again. Here I can see what stock we have available in the warehouses and what's on purchase order. In relation to purchase orders, I can see what purchase orders are there and when they're coming in and on what date. I can also see what commitments of this product we have to other customers. So this is actually a good example where one of our clients in the UK who's using 3D Live said to me that what we need to be able to do is we often have our least important customers put orders in, we commit stock to them. Then later in the day, our most important customer comes in and they want to place an order, and suddenly we don't have enough stock left. And we need to steal that stock basically off their orders and give it to our most important customer. Now for them in their current system, that was a lot of searching before they could actually find the orders that they could actually go and take the stock off. Whereas with 3D Live, they've said, well, that's a panel I need to have on my desktop as I'm interacting with the system. Show it to me. Now, I may use it, I may not use it, but because it's there straight away, if I want to steal that stock, I can simply double-click and load that particular order up, and I can force it onto back order if that's what I want to do. And they can do it as easily as that. So I go along through my current order, and I add another line to it, and then I get to my second line. And the customer says, you know what, I want to buy the same desktop that I bought last time. So because we've got that most recent sales on the screen, as a user what I can do without again having to search or do anything special, because that information is already there, because I've decided that's often what I use when I do this process, I can simply grab that particular item and drop it into my order, just like that, from the desktop. So I can drag and drop from the windows into my order. And you can see here now it's updating. So I can see that we've got 215 of those in stock. I can see a picture of the item. I can see what orders we have for that item as well, and I can complete my order as I like. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the first use of 3D Live, possibly in a distribution scenario. Now I touched on Starman Farms before, and they've been using our 3D Live for the last few weeks. And the CFO there, Robin Longmire, has said to us, and I guess to understand their business, what they do is that they grow, and they're the largest grower of pecan nuts in the Southern Hemisphere. They also deal with walnuts and macadamia nuts as well, and they distribute these out throughout Australia and overseas to different retailers. Now for them, because they're a food manufacturer, their quality control is really important to them. Their products are under strict quality assurance control, and they can't be sold unless they're certain that they've been cleared for quarantine. Now with 3D Live, they've been able to instantly produce lists on the screen of what items are still in quarantine and what not, and which ones are not. They can also see immediately with any item to determine what stage of quarantine it is in and which tests have been passed. And this gives an indication to the user of how long it will be before it's ready for distribution. So this is really powerful information for their sales team, whereas before 3D Live came along, it was either searching deep down in the system to find that information, many clicks, just delaying them, or most possibly ringing someone else and annoying them. So 3D Live has really streamlined that process for Starman Farms. What I'm going to look at next is, imagine you're a sales supervisor, and a desktop for you might be your current leads, your open quotes, so quotes that you're dealing with right now. You might have a list of your team's quotes because you're in charge of a sales team. Now you may want to refilter that. You might want to see what Amanda's working on right now or what Angela's working on right now. Now you can see here Angela's only actually got one quote in her name at the moment, and